Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks for joining me on another episode of CBT Now on CBT News. Is it process or the skill that really drives sales success? Today we are getting into that with Gardner, who's an instructor and sales trainer at the Joe Verde Group. You've seen him here before on CBT News. So Sean, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're crisscrossing the country, giving incredible programs and seminars for dealers and salespeople and managers as well. So thanks for taking the time with us.
Absolutely.
So the big question, process versus skills. Is it about is it about finding the right balance, right?
Yeah, in a nutshell. But look, you sold cars. I sold cars.
Yep.
Right. And at my dealership, I sold cars before I got promoted into F&I. I sold cars at 2 different dealerships. I don't know how many dealerships you worked at.
Yep.
But
25.
Did they have a process at your store where you sold cars?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they had a process. I think if I reflect back, mine was meet, greet, build rapport, investigate.
Yep.
Then you had the selection of the vehicle.
That's right.
If you remember that. Yeah.
That's right.
And then you had to give a walk around, the demo, the transition from lot to office, the commitment. You got to get the commitment.
The trial close. Yeah, the whole deal.
Yeah, the trial close. You have the write-up.
Yep.
You got to do the write-up. If they have a trade involved, you gotta get the trade appraisal from the used car buyer. Then you got to get with your manager and start your deal. Right.
That's right.
That's right. Process.
That's right.
And,
folks, go ahead and park it in the sold line while we talk about the deal.
Yeah. There you go. And all processes are a little different.
Right.
Right. And that's okay. That's all right. I mean, one thing I want to bring up about our process was, if you couldn't quite get the customer to say yes and they wanted to leave without buying, well, then the process was to check with your manager, make sure your manager, didn't want to go in and take a turn to help you try to put a deal together. It was a pretty tight-knit process.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your process was similar, could be different, but with the same end goal.
That's
Sell
right.
the car, happy customer.
That's right.
And the thing about it is it gave me confidence. Did it give you confidence?
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a track to run on, right? I kind of knew what I needed to do next, then next, and it was my job. My manager would always tell me, you got to bring them through the process, buddy. You got to bring them through the process, right? So I that was my goal. Every customer, get them through the process. And it gave me some success. I was one of our top salespeople at both stores before I got promoted into F&I, but I knew I was missing sales that I should be getting. I remember this one customer, we worked a deal and it was an $1,800 front end deal, Jim, $1,800 front end deal. And we still let that customer leave without buying. And I got mad at my manager even. I'm saying, why would you let this guy walk? Rather than I didn't have the skills to bump customers, right? I didn't have the skills to get the customers thinking up. So it was really good with the process, but I wasn't quite consistently selling 20 plus a month and making 10 grand a month. The process, great track, but I needed skills too. And that's where you're talking about, finding that balance. Okay.
That's right.
So I just want to talk about 3 foundational skills, Joe Verde skills, to help you better execute within the process, whatever your process is. Like, let's talk about this first skill. Okay. And you've heard of this skill, Jim, the yes questions, right?
That's right.
The yes questions. I mean, if you're watching this, if you want to get that big yes later on inside, I mean, don't we need to get some little yeses along the way?
Yes.
Right? I mean, Jim, if you wanted someone to say yes, wouldn't you only ask them a question that they could answer with a yes?
Absolutely.
It worked, didn't it?
Yes, it does.
Still working, isn't it? See? Are you hearing? Look, I'm going to stop. This is not a training video or a sales class, but getting those little yeses is critical. I mean, on the test drive, the demo, Bob, what do you think? The car's driving great, isn't it?
That's right.
And I knew you definitely said you wanted the hybrid too, right? I mean, if we can get the customer to say yes a few little times throughout the selling process, it's going to make getting that big yes a lot easier later on when you're working the deal. They help you create mental ownership. I mean, if the customer goes, yes, 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 what's it harder for them to say later on?
No.
No, exactly. So
right.
that's a skill that we can develop. What does Joe say? 45 yeses, 45 minutes, raises your closing ratio to 75%. And it's not like you have to get 45, but wouldn't 10 be better than none?
That's right.
Right? Okay. So it's those skills where we're missing out and I didn't have these skills, and it's time to develop these skills. Another huge foundational skill, especially with today's buyer. And you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, Jim, is a lot of salespeople, and I know I used to get stuck on price.
100%.
Yeah, you get stuck on price. I mean, you're trying to build rapport, investigate. You're trying to pick out the car, like we were talking about on the selling process. And the customer just says, "What's the price on this car?"
Mm-hmm.
And that throws a salesperson back. It used to throw me back, and I believed in being transparent and telling the customer what it really is. So I would just tell them the price. I would say, "This one's $49,832." And then I would just kind of leave it at that because I didn't have any skills. But Jim, if you were on a lot looking at cars and you asked me the price and I said $49,499, what is your next logical question to ask me?
Well, how much off of that can I get?
Exactly.
What kind of a savings is there? Was there a sale? What kind of a discount can I expect?
Yes. I'm getting stuck on price. I'm getting stuck on price.
That's right.
And that's a rabbit hole we just don't want to go down, because then I'm going to get totally stuck, and I'm going to have a customer haven't even really picked out a car, not even test driven a car, and I'm running up to my manager. You said check with you before they go, because I'm getting stuck. So, I mean, there's a very easy skill that Joe Verde teaches. The customer says, "What's the price?" This one's just under 50. Speaking of price, were you thinking more gas or hybrid? Okay. And did you want to go with or without the sunroof? Okay. And were you thinking more leather or cloth? I got you. All right, stop. Okay, check this out. Jim, I answered the price question just like the first example, right? But I didn't get stuck on price.
Right.
See, you got a choice, and I hope if you're watching this, you write this down. You want to get stuck on price, or do you want to just answer price and have the skills to keep moving the customer through the process?
That's
right? I mean, that's a huge skill, learning how to set price aside and stay more value focused. And we could talk all day about that. But look, foundational skills, the yes questions. Car drove great, didn't it? And I know you said blue was your favorite color, wasn't it? Not getting stuck on price. Okay, customer says, "What's the price on this one?" Just under 70. Speaking of price, were you going to do some towing and hauling with the truck, or is it just something to go back and forth to work in? I mean, these are two foundational skills. And the third one I want to talk about, Jim, is huge. It's learning how to close properly.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to, everybody goes, "You got a commitment, you got a commitment." That's the manager's favorite words. "You got a commitment." Hey, real quick, Jim, what's more important, a commitment or a write-up?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's a real good question.
Both.
That's right.
A committed write-up, right?
That's right.
Okay. But look, I was up there in Indiana. We just got done with a great workshop. What a great group of guys. There was a couple big dealer groups there. It was just so fun to do that 2-day sales workshop. But this is a Honda store. They're sitting on the front row, and still, as of this day, on their worksheet, when they do their write-up, Jim, it's like, "Hey, listen, if we can get the terms and figures agreeable, is this the Civic you'd want to buy and drive home now?" It's a version of an "if I could, would you" type close. And salespeople don't even like asking the customer. The customer, you could see the angst in their eyes and facial expressions. But the salesperson's just trying to do the best they can and follow the process, right? You got to follow the process.
Yeah.
But we need to sharpen some real closing skills. Check this out. And I know you grew up with the version of "if I could, would you," or "what would it take to earn your business." The problem with that type of close, okay, listen closely, try to follow this a little bit. If you were looking at let's say an Accord, and I'm the salesperson, and I said, "Hey, Jim, if we can get the figures agreeable on this Accord, I mean, is this the one you'd want to buy and drive home now?" And you say, "Yes, you would."
Mm-hmm.
You would. All right, here's the thing. That means I'm going to have to get the figures agreeable for you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
In other words, it's committing me more than you.
That's a good point.
Because I'm going to have to make you happy with the numbers. I'm going to have to make the earth and the moon and the sun to all line up in your favor. And that's tough to do.
Of course.
So it's time to develop some real closing skills. If you're watching this, look, just close on the value of the vehicle itself. The biggest mental switch I learned going through Joe Verde was, getting that product commitment first. Get a firm product commitment, and that's going to make the negotiations a heck of a lot easier. And you know what? You were starting it earlier in this little interview here. The car drove great, didn't it? And I know you definitely wanted the hybrid too, right? And you're going to love the great gas mileage you get on this, aren't you? And that heated leather cold seat is going to be really nice for your back, isn't it? And our kids, they're going to have plenty of room in the back too, aren't they? It really sounds like you guys found the perfect car. Why don't you pull it up to the sold line right there next to your trade-in? And were you going to transfer plates or put on new ones? Oh, okay. So are we going to register this new one in one name or two? Gotcha. And did you want a cup of coffee or something cold to drink while we start the paperwork? If they answer those three questions, what are they going to do, Jim?
They're buying the car.
And what did I not have to say?
Price.
Yeah, I didn't have to say if I could, would ya?
That's right.
Now, everybody watching this, but there's going to be objection negotiating what's your best price. We don't want to know what the payment is or what a trade. I get that, but see, that's why you need to develop skills. Because check this out, Jim. Closing is a completely different skill than working through buying objections that we get with every customer.
That's right.
Right? So I know I kept talking here, but I'm just so pumped on this. Look, getting the yes questions, setting price aside, okay, not getting stuck on price, and learning how to close the sale based on the value of the vehicle itself and not how cheap maybe you can make it.
That's right. Process is so vitally important, but yet in so many cases, even those salespeople that have learned it and don't practice it, they don't put it into practice when they're out with customers, and they need to, right? I mean, this is, talk to me about that.
Okay, yeah, look, you're doing 12, 15 cars a month. You're doing a great job. You're making yourself $8,000 a month, and you're, painting by the numbers. You're following the process. So, and good for you, and that's great, okay? But man, process with some skills, Jim, you know what? You're going to be flat out dangerous, okay?
That's right.
I mean, it's going to be the one thing that takes you to 20 plus, 10 grand plus. We talk about this in our sales workshop. I mean, I just look at these guys and say, don't you want to just sell your 20 plus, make your 10 grand plus, go home, right? Right? And at the same time, help as many customers as you possibly can.
That's right.
So you paint by the numbers, you follow the process, you're going to get a good result, and you need that track to run on. But then if you just sharpen some of these key foundational skills, and we can help with that, or you can, practice and learn and discover on your own. But gosh dang, I mean, that's going to take you, here's where you're at, here's where you can be, right, Jim?
That's right. You use painting by numbers. It's so much easier to paint by numbers, but it's so much easier to have a process that you follow with each and every customer, not just the people that you deem buyers, early on, if you're pre-qualifying, or not just the ones that come in quickly or want to spend all day with you, whatever. It's got to be a process that you follow, and it's got to be these skills that you learn with and use them on every customer.
Yeah. And let's add one more thing to that, okay? So my first store that I worked at was a little bit of a country club, okay? And you know what that term means.
Oh, I know what that means. Yep.
Yeah, just go out there and sell them a car, man, okay? Just if you need my help, let me know. But, I think you're the best guy to close this. Just go out there, sell, make a friend, lay them on a car, write them up.
Right.
There really is no process.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
All right. If you're a country club, that's a good store to be in, but that means skills are even more important, right, Jim? If you want to make it to the big time.
That's right.
So process with skills, dangerous, okay? You're going to do your 20 plus, make your 10 grand and go home, okay? Yeah. Take your day off and leave when your shift is over,
that's
all right? And if you work at a country club, that's cool too, but it's time to sharpen some key foundational skills. That's all.
That's right. It's so vitally important. There's no question about it. And especially with the sophistication of today's customer that comes in with knowing a lot of information about the car, both on price as well as features on the vehicle, you've got to be trained in this area to know how to take care of that customer and have a process and have those questions. I love the yes questions. I use them that that Joe taught me early on when I was selling, and as a manager as well. I mean, I would reiterate some of those questions when I'd go in on a TO as a manager. Some of those same questions. You liked the car, didn't you? It was the right color, right, for you. I mean, you picture yourself using this car with your family and your kids, and just to reiterate all of those, getting those yes answers, right?
That's and you know what? It just takes a little practice.
And
you know what? Learning how not to get stuck on price, just takes a little practice, and learning how to close without using price. It just takes a little practice. That's all. Little know-how, little practice. That's what skill development is all about.
That's right. That's right. And training
the right techniques and practicing the techniques. That's all, and it's easy.
That's right. That's right. And we've said this a lot. You've heard it before. Training isn't something that you do. I shouldn't say that. Training isn't something you've done. It's something that you do, right? It's got to be something you're doing every day. Role playing, and I can't say enough about preparing today's professional automotive salesperson for today's sophisticated customers. So vitally important. The days of just going, hey, go out there, make a friend, show them some cars, bring them in here, don't let them go, make sure we get a TO. Those days are long gone, right?
Yeah, agree. Yeah. But you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Even if you're a superstar at your store, I mean, Patrick Mahomes still shows up for practice.
That's right.
Right?
6 days a week.
Yes, sir. He shows up and he practices. He takes all the first team reps. Patrick Mahomes is such a successful quarterback. He could say to the team, listen, I'll just meet you guys at the game, okay? I think you know that I can play. I am MVP
That's
twice.
right. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. So he practices. So it's just time to sharpen the sword. Like you said, we're in a very competitive market, and a lot of dealerships are just racing to the bottom to try to make every sale.
That's right.
And you're racing to the bottom, and they're racing to the bottom, and you still lose the sale. You're just like, how am I doing this? And if you also want to hold a little gross, get paid a little for your efforts. It all comes down to skills, Jim.
Yeah. No question about it. Sean Gardner, instructor and sales trainer at the Joe Verde Group. This is why we love having you in here, because you bring the goods. So thank you so much for today's lesson. Hopefully salespeople and managers were taking some notes, because this is so vitally important. Be trained, make sure that you're in training every day, doing something to Sean's point, sharpening the sword. It takes that today. So please make sure that you're out there doing what you got to do in order to close today's customers. So Sean, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
It was incredible, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks.